is 7:32, and I will call the December 11th, 2025 meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust to order. We have an agenda that I can pull up here. Okay, so the,
Do you want to do roll call?
oh yes, roll call, because we have a Zoom participant. Colleen?
Here.
Dan here.
Brian Langevin here.
Matt here.
And Sarah?
Here.
All right. Cool. So,
Nicole just joined too.
and Nicole just joined. We just finished roll call, so you didn't miss
Hi,
anything.
Nicole's here.
All right. So the first item on the agenda, recap of the November 6th Affordable Housing Forum. And we have some answers to the questions that were raised that I believe Colleen put together for us. Thank you, Colleen. And yeah, is there any, I guess we can kind of just have a discussion of any kind of feedback or learnings or anything people want to discuss. And
Were we anticipating this just be for discussion's sake for ourselves, or were we planning on publishing this anywhere?
Well, it is published in the packet.
Yeah.
But I just think there were a lot of good questions that were asked, and I went through and I wrote them all down and figured to have a document somewhere for people to reference and for us to send people to. And I mean, people are going to have more questions than this, but at least it answers that, and maybe something going forward at next forum. We'll always make sure we put something out with the questions and the answers. I don't know. Yeah. Did we want to go look at them or add any input, or did you guys have any questions about any of them, or was it?
Oh, I thought it was a great, overall answering the questions, and a good, thing for us to have, like you said, for future forums, or just even kind of like a rolling document that we kind of keep updated, especially with the amount of cash that we have in the trust and things like that.
Yeah.
One that I had, seeing the reference to the money we get in from CPC.
Mhm.
We talk about it being 10% of what Grafton gets in CPA funds each year. If this was going to be published somewhere, it says you might want to just qualify that as approximately or something, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what we get at Spring, what gets appropriated or allocated to us, transferred to us in Springtown meeting is an estimate of the coming year, right? So, and I think just from watching the meetings and seeing Ken's treasury reports, it seems like those estimates are fairly conservative. So I wonder, well, if we ever compared that estimated number that we get allocated at Springtown meeting to what the town actually pulls in for a given year in CPA funds, we might be kind of shortchanging ourselves if the goal is 10%, with those estimates being as conservative as they tend to be.
When I hear you word it like that, it's making me second guess what I think I know right now. So I'm gonna want to double check, but I think it has to be 10%. I don't think it can be less than that. That's the law. So even if it was
nodding.
Oh yeah. So I don't think we're being shortchanged. And I think the reason we're getting it earlier now is just so that we have access to it. That was the shift. So it's an overall good thing, but I don't think I don't think it's a.
So like when one year rolls into the next, does it, so again, if it is upfront, it can only be an estimate. So is the following year's grant kind of a combination of kind of a true up to actual for the current year and the estimate for next year?
I don't want to misspeak because we just changed it in the last year or two where we did that double payment. So before it used to be what it was, and then we got it in the fall. But now when we doubled up, so I want to double check before I say something incorrect.
Yeah, and I can go back to the last couple cycles and try to make the math work.
Yeah. But I know for a fact, we're not getting shortchanged. We can definitely eliminate that
Okay.
here. But as far as the estimate to actuals and it's a good question and I want to clear it up. I just don't want to misspeak.
Sure.
Yeah, I think generally maybe like having a financial report on hand might be good for the next one so that we can sort of demonstrate the sort of financial controls, yeah, that we have. So because they're, you know, that's a common question that comes up around the trust is how we manage funds.
Mhm.
So I think would be a really good one to have in hand. Maybe even a slide on it to just kind of go through it and tell people, you know, there was some concern about financial controls. And, you know, I think you answered the question kind of a little bit on the hot seat in the moment, but it'd be good to just have something prepared, I think, to answer that question.
Okay.
Because it's a good question and it's not completely straightforward to sort of explain in 30 seconds while you're trying to manage a forum and all that other stuff. So might be a good thing to just, yeah, have like a one pager on or something like that.
And this looks familiar. I'm guessing you and I are probably pinging Mary Loria with similar questions.
Yeah.
Yes, and I didn't realize that she was out this week, so I was,
Oh, really?
yeah, and she got that to me this week, so
Yeah.
that's fresh, up to date info right there.
Got it.
Thank you, Mary, for being awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But I don't, to your point though, I don't know how to. Should we just do our own, treasury report, kind of like CPC, and just post that each meeting? So every month that is in the packet. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to overcomplicate it, and just make that a packet item, and everybody gets it. Everybody has it, and it's easy enough for her to generate once a month, and then we'll put it in the packet. Does that seem to satisfy everything? And it's an easy solution without
Yeah, I mean,
overcomplicating it.
overall, it seems like there's obviously we haven't had any GSX draws in a while, but
Right.
you know, for year to date, I mean, we're in December and year to date, all we've got for expenses are some allocated payroll.
Mhm.
And all we've got for income is interest income and the CPC transfer. So it's, there wouldn't be a lot to it. But yeah, it'd be easy enough to throw something together that could get thrown in the packet.
And the GSX withdrawals are all in their own little, nested
Yeah.
area to go review and everything like that too, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if everybody likes that, that's an easy.
A good idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I can put a tab on your webpage for them.
To start collecting all these too.
I'm happy to put them in the packet, but if you want to just be able to look at all of them at once in one place.
Yeah, because CPC ended up doing that too a couple years back, where all the treasury report, you made that happen too, I think. You put all the old ones up. That's very helpful to be able to go back and look at, so.
Yeah, I like that this idea because it's not just, I mean, I also like the idea of having, something more on hand for the next workshop, or forum or whatever we're calling it. But I really like having it every meeting in the packet because then like it's not just responding to somebody asking a question at the forum, it's also anyone who wants to, pay attention to our meeting for the first time can see it.
Yeah.
And, the current up-to-date stuff too. So
Mhm.
I like that.
And did we publish the audit information? That might be a good one too to just put up on the website.
So the town audit gets put somewhere, and that's what it's, encompassed in,
Yeah.
but
Just be good to link to it
yeah. Okay.
and just
Is-
make a note that, ours is encapsulated in theirs.
Is the town audit like posted on the website somewhere?
Yeah, I
Sure it
know.
is.
I've gone
Okay.
back a few years. I don't know timing wise how soon they get done. Like I don't think, it seems like it'd probably be still fairly early for the audit for last year to be done yet. But
Okay.
but I know at least prior years are up on the website. Probably under the accountant's page. I can't remember where I'd seen them.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
Cool.
While we're on the topic of money, the only other kind of footnote to seeing the amount of cash that the trust currently has on hand, I pulled together the number that we currently have as unpaid under the grant agreement. So total grant agreement to GSX was 1.8 million. We've paid out just shy of 1.1 million. So there'd be about 725,000 left that theoretically is kind of spoken for at this point. So after that, our kind of net available cash or so would be just over 900,000,
Perfect.
which would be close to, I think in the forum, I think we mentioned, having about $1 million, and it's pretty close to that number if you back out what's already been committed to GSX.
Mhm. Perfect. All right.
So I thought it was a good forum. It's a
Very well attended.
first try. I think
Very well attended.
it was really good attendance. I saw quite a few faces that I didn't recognize, which I took to be a really good sign. I thought our speakers were outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah, the content was pretty solid. I feel like we had pretty good answers to questions, and it was reasonably interactive with people asking questions and whatnot. So it wasn't just a kind of a dog and pony show. It really felt a little bit more collaborative, and like there was a real opportunity for people to get to know what the trust was doing and how we operate and whatnot. So I liked it. If I had one thing to do, I might spend just a little bit of time on characterizing some of our projects, and just a very light touch, because we did such a variety of things between rental assistance and 25 Worcester with some elder care or elder housing, the grant over on Upton Street and all that. We're working a pretty wide variety of different things, and I don't know. I think I would just spend a little bit of time highlighting the breadth of projects that we do. We've got a lot going on right now.
Yeah, I think kind of going in hand with that is something we would highlight along with that is that the Affordable Housing Trust is not actually involved in every single affordable housing development in the town. And I feel like that's something that people don't necessarily know or kind of make assumptions about. So yeah, I feel like that'll kind of go along with that, talk about things we're not involved in that are
Sure.
happening based on, based on 40B, based on zoning that the planning board and town meeting have done.
Yeah,
So
sure. Sounds
Should
good.
we try to organize another forum in the spring to kind of delve into some of these more detailed conversations?
I like that idea.
Bring in our CHAPA speaker.
Yep. The one more thing I'd like to see at our next forum is I'd like to see the trust sitting together. If that means like a table, like a lot of the times when the select board were doing forums down at the library, we were all, I don't know if we need to sit in the front and look down at everybody. We need to be together, and I think we need to each take ownership on a topic if it's asked, because I did feel like when we were being asked these questions, we all made eye contact, and then it was like, okay. I think I just was sitting closest, and that's how it happened. Whereas we could be more collaborative about it. We all know the answers. We can all do it.
yeah, I feel like it would also kind of be a little bit more of a kind of pulled together appearance than Colleen running around.
Great.
I mean,
Right.
thank you for
How it worked out.
stepping up and doing that. But
Yeah.
it was
Absolutely. You can tighten that up a little bit.
I think people who are the faces we didn't recognize might also not recognize us and might not have known
Right.
the way that Colleen was speaking as a trust member.
Totally.
So,
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
Some name tags.
We surprisingly did have several attendees that were not Grafton residents. They were coming from other towns to see, what we were doing to promote affordable housing. So
Were
I
they,
thought that was really interesting.
were
The
they,
one gentleman that I spoke to was from Milford.
Cool.
Yeah, I had the same experience too. I spoke to a few people from other towns that were interested in the speaker. They had heard about it, and then I guess somehow it was they're involved in their town. Someone was from Sutton. I'm trying to remember. Someone else came from pretty far away, and they were like, "Well, this is recommended that I come to this to learn about, yeah, affordable housing in my community."
Yeah,
So
they're
yeah,
there.
which was great.
So that's probably a good takeaway. We could pretty easily connect to other housing trusts in the area to promote ours.
did,
We did.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what my question was. Were they from other affordable housing trusts? Do we know that?
The gentleman that I spoke to from Milford came specifically to this because Milford apparently doesn't have an affordable housing trust.
So they're interested in starting one.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Yeah, Shrewsbury, just a few years ago, adopted the CPA and created their own CPC. So I think they also created an affordable housing trust, either with that or shortly after that. So yeah, they're I know one of the people there, so I was talking to him, and he was saying they're uh, just excited to get things started and wanted to hear ideas. So
Nice.
that's cool.
Very
One thing I guess to keep in mind, as we're planning an event, if we're gonna seek a wider audience, you might want to put some thought into content so that it's not as Grafton focused. I think invariably, I think Q&A is going to go whichever direction that the public takes Q&A, and that could end up being more local if there's a more local crowd. But this is one piece that, I wouldn't want somebody coming from a distance thinking it's going to be kind of more broad and then have most of the content be Grafton centric. Um, it's a balance.
We could just set that expectation in advance because I mean, I think regardless, it is interesting to hear about these projects, just like that woman presenting, she shared a variety of different projects of, a school being turned into affordable housing and things like that in all different towns. So I think it's fine to talk about Grafton. It would actually be interesting to just do an interactive poll at the start and just say, hey, who's from Grafton? Who's from a neighboring town? Who's on an affordable housing trust? Who's this? Just raise your hand and we can just kind of get the makeup of the group, or we can even collect that on the Eventbrite if we do that. That way we'll know in advance. We could just say what organization or what town are you from, and then we'll have an idea going into it.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
And, look, the affordable housing is it's so much about the art of the possible, right? How can we fund housing production? And, Grafton, if you look at what we're doing, it's lots of different examples. There's a land donation, there's a grant program that we have, there's a LIP. So there's all sorts of different mechanisms that we've used, the Adams Road donation from the town. And, so I think, although it's local, it's also a good example of the variety of different things that, there's no single way. It really is. It's just kind of being open to so many different possibilities of how you can do it. And it's more of like an attitude that a town adopts, that it's going to think about that on a consistent basis. So when those opportunities come along, they can be leveraged.
Fiona, you have a hand raised.
Yeah. So one of the pieces of feedback that I heard from Shelley was of MHP was that the forum was fantastic, but the content was like very specific. So it was just kind of interesting to hear her take on it. She's like, I would have become more prepared with like more technical based questions. It's like, you know, that's just kind of how things go, especially if you're having like a lot of like local engagement. And I did tell her like Grafton is a very well informed community and has a lot of local concerns that they vet through these types of forums. But yeah, she said it was really really great. But yeah, she was definitely like, wow, yeah, people know and want to know. And yeah, it was just interesting.
I wonder if for our next one, we want to make it like a project focused forum, and we can talk about the specific projects in Grafton and also talk about projects Grafton hasn't considered that other communities have done and kind of make it sort of focus on that as a theme. I feel like that would kind of make it very relevant to Grafton, by kind of categorizing things as here's what we're doing or have done, and here are things that we could do that other towns are doing, and at the same time also be very valuable to other communities because it's a, a nice list of opportunities they could use.
Yeah, there were a few things from the Q&A. Bill McCuster's question about, the down payment assistance and stuff like that that we haven't done
Yes.
that, we could flesh out internally beforehand, but could be good subject matter to kind of kick out to a community group too. To, if we end up, whichever way the board or the trust ends up feeling about it, share those thoughts with the public and see if there's another side that we're not maybe appreciating, but
I was also thinking about the Mass Ready Act, how far along that is. I'm certainly not following it, so I don't know how far along in the process that is. But my takeaway from that was it was a beefy piece of documentation, and that could probably host its own night to bring clarity to that if it passes and things like that. So
Yeah, that'll shake things up significantly. That's gonna be
that's something to.
big.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think they're still gathering. Well, I'm actually not sure if the comment period is closed, and the rollout will take a while. And I've been kind of following it, but I definitely could have been way more prepared for that question, because I did kind of know some things, but I knew it was kind of far down the line,
Yep.
so I wasn't as ready. But yeah, it'll be structured like a 40B comp permit almost.
And that could be like a joint forum too, hosted by us and other stakeholders that are going to be.
Yeah, Concom.
Yep.
Bunch of, yeah, because a lot of different land use boards are going to be affected by it, and have their processes modified. So that'll be an interesting discussion item.
Mm.
Do you know, oh, I just found it. So on the legislature website, reported favorably out of committee 10 days ago in the Senate. So this thing is moving along.
Mm-hmm.
The state legislature is a tricky place. So whether something actually has support from leadership is like a huge factor, and whether it'll actually get done. And it looks like this may have support. I mean, it's from the governor, but the things the governor wants to do don't always have support from leadership. So
Mhm.
this one looks like it's coming along.
Yeah, I definitely think that it'll definitely move through faster than some former legislation. I think a lot of people seem to be on board. There's like some concerns about the technicalities and the rollout, but that's to be expected from anything that's similar to this, like and big, that encompasses a lot of different parties. So
I'd like to do another like a deeper dive into ADUs too, like Grafton specific ADUs, and I don't know. I saw on social media somebody asking about the process in Grafton specifically and how that's been going.
mhm.
I don't know if that's necessarily affordable housing specific, but it is housing, and that's what we're here to advocate for in affordable housing. So
Yeah. I mean, they can be deed restricted, you know,
yep.
and can be affordable units. But yeah, I mean, it's adding to the housing stock and more diversity in housing and kind of that boat missing middle that every community is trying to get further toward. So yeah, I agree. I mean, and I think just to your point, Colleen, a lot of people are now that, Grafton is finalized at least like a standard bylaw in a lot of other Central Mass communities. People are definitely getting more interested, wanting to know how much money do I need to kind of put up to make this happen? What are the regulations that I need to work around? Like, how does the permitting work? et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that could be a good topic as well.
I've seen news stories already out with prefab units
Mhm.
out there that, Massachusetts specific, and they're booking out 18 months just to
Yes.
it's in their backyards or front yards, wherever. I think I sent that to you, Matt, at one point. That was a good one. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I could just come up with ideas all night. That's not why we're here, though.
All good ideas.
Any other thoughts on the forum?
No, just looking forward to the next one. That was a good time.
Cool.
And maybe we can regroup in the next couple of meetings and talk strategy for speakers and such. There was a couple of people I had reached out to a few for this past forum, and then we only went with two because we wanted to make sure we had some time. So, but I did some of those speakers were like, oh, if you need us in the future, we're available. So, kind of already have speakers in a way teed up, which is nice.
Great.
All right. So next on the agenda, we have the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 50, which is regarding tax exemption for rental owners who who basically voluntarily rent their units out at an affordable rate to a qualified, income family. And so this is, I think, a relatively new law. And yeah, Matt reached out, I guess, heard about it at a affordable housing forum, and was wanted to get it on our radar, and
Yeah,
we
look,
want to do it.
I don't know if it's feasible for Grafton, you've got to work through whether it makes sense and
Yeah,
all of that, how it would impact taxes and all that kind of stuff. But it seemed like a good opportunity to explore, just another way to incentivize affordable housing. So seemed like something that the trust might want to talk about and just have Fiona, you know, talk through with staff and try to figure out logistically, is this something that could actually be implemented? And, obviously it's a long process to implement that sort of to adopt Mass General Law, but it can be done. So that's
Right.
that's how I was thinking about it.
so,
Right. Yeah, it seems pretty new from my research. I think Boston is in the process of adopting this, and I looked and I saw that Brookline was a community that was had proposed some modifications to their regulations to adopt, and then I think that it didn't. They wanted to study it further. I don't know if they're. I can't recall from the paperwork if they were assembling a kind of like study committee to kind of evaluate. I did speak to Tammy about it briefly, and as Matt said, I think it's just we'll have to kind of I need to talk through with her a little bit more in depth because she was first a little bit concerned about the money coming out of she has like an overlay account and whatever funding that would need to be kind of recouped that was lost would have to come out of that, and then kind of the considerations of kind of going into an override, what that would look like. And we just really want to make sure when we're doing it that we're getting a lot of buy-in and doing a lot of outreach, kind of talking to the Board of Assessors, talking to the Select Board, talking to all the parties that will, ultimately, FinCom, everyone, who will need to discuss what to put on the warrant when we get to that point, if we do want to get to that point. I mean, when you break down the numbers, it's a size, it's a good amount of units that this could potentially apply to, but I don't think it's an overwhelming number that would ring alarm bells with FinCom or anything. But yeah, I just it needs a vote, a town meeting vote, and a vote of the legislature. And it seems like it's similar in a lot of ways to kind of the senior circuit breaker. Um, So that's what Tammy had kind of mentioned. So it's kind of operates in a similar manner, at least fundamentally to that which Grafton does and a lot of communities do. Um, so, I think it's just, I think MHP has that technical assistance program that I know we'll kind of be talking about later on in this meeting. So maybe we can engage like somebody from MHP because they seem to be kind of leading the charge and kind of getting the word out about this and maybe have, I can set up a call with them and just say like, hey, there's some initial concerns that were flagged by our assessor. This is the numbers that we're looking at in Grafton, like, and just can you just help us kind of understand the feasibility of implementing this and are there what type of outreach are communities doing to make sure that, the community is on board? Like, should we have like a separate, I guess like an analysis done? Like, I'm kind of still trying to figure that out. Sometimes these things are studied to death, but, you know, might be anything that kind of touches taxes. I would always want to kind of make sure that we're, doing the outreach that we need to. Because we just don't want to do all the work at the town meeting and then, you know, whatever, have kind of people hearing about it for the first time and saying, "Oh my gosh, like this is going to raise my property taxes and please vote no," or, you know. So that's just kind of my initial thoughts.
Can I ask a question? So if let's say we engage all the stakeholders, we decide to move forward, is this something we then customize for here in Grafton that if a property owner chooses to do this, we make them lock in for 2 years or like what like how do you manage something like this?
Yeah, no, it's a great question.
So
I don't think that there are answers yet because it hasn't actually been implemented.
And it's not gonna impact the deed at all. So let's say someone comes in and says, yeah, and then they sell their house 6 months later. Like
Hmm.
what is something like this? So that's what's getting flushed out right now.
That's part of it. Yeah,
Okay.
who's going to monitor it? I mean,
Yeah.
there has to be a monitoring agent. So
Yeah.
who's going to do that? On the select board, we've talked once or twice about doing for elders in the community assistance with accessibility improvements.
Mhm.
And that's sort of the kind of along the lines of this, like what happens if they sell their home 6 months later? So you have to have some sort of mechanism in there where the town's getting enough benefit from that, tax exemption.
Mm.
And that it's not being taken advantage of and, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, that's the who we would offer it to, I think is a question that I would have to, like, would it be to anybody? Would we want to target it only developments of a certain size or, so how, the town's intentions, I think, would want to be reflected in the language of the word. So,
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm unclear on the degree of flexibility that local municipalities have,
right.
and how much tailoring you can do. And yeah, I would be interested to talk to somebody at the state or MHP further about that exact scenario. Like, hey, like how are we making sure there's contingencies in place so that, this continues, or what's the opt-out process? Like, does the town have any sort of involvement in that? Who's monitoring? Are the landlords who are taking advantage of the program? Are they going to be handling income vetting and all of that? Because that can be a lot of legwork that I think sometimes people might not be prepared for. And like if that kind of falls through the cracks, or is that like more of like a town's staff person handles that? Like, yeah, I need to flush out a lot of those specifics.
We're not targeting this for May, right?
No, this
You
was
know.
something that I caught in a chat
Okay.
in a conference, and I said, that looks like a great opportunity. So
Okay.
let's look into it. And yeah, sort of just texted Dan and I asked to add it to the agenda.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any urgency whatsoever. But yeah, so it's really, we're just at the very, very early stages of discussing it. So no, I wouldn't imagine. If we could, that'd be great, but
Feels like it's a lot
I have
to
a
get
feeling
ready
we're
for.
gonna have a lot going on this spring, so
You think? What's?
just
It
saying.
might be, yeah, might be busy in Grafton. But yeah, I don't see any mention in here of town meeting or the legislative body. I mean, well, at the bottom, the very last thing is that a municipality may adopt ordinances or bylaws to implement this section. So that would be town meeting.
Mhm.
But to adopt it would be the select board. So in addition to getting this to town meeting, like we couldn't just put this on the warrant and then, sell to town meeting. We also need to have the select board to actually, vote for it. And but yeah, there's a lot of details that need to be worked out. It's one of those things where I feel like the the numbers have to be carefully balanced.
Mhm.
Where it's actually to the benefit of the property owner to do it. Otherwise, no one would do it. But
Right.
also, it can't be like this massive giveaway to the property owners. Like it needs to be. We want to balance it so that there's mutual benefit
Absolutely.
Is
for everybody who agrees that affordable housing is a good thing. Then there's mutual benefit for people who don't want affordable housing. They might not support it.
so I have a question. We know how many rental units there are in Grafton, but when it says owner rental, I guess I picture that as like an individual versus a developer. Maybe that's just I'm reading into it, but is there a way to get that breakdown of what the rental units are in Grafton currently? Like we have this many that are owned by a developer and this many, like this individual has this many and just get like a better breakdown so we can start crafting our thoughts on how we might want to craft this down the line, like a better breakdown of it all.
Yeah, that should be relatively easy to kind of cross-reference, like just using the SHI and running like quick numbers, like just sorting. There was roughly 415 affordable units, affordable rental units on the SHI. Um, and kind of just using that number and then going through and yeah, cross-referencing with the assessor's records of ownership and yeah, falls under the criteria to potentially qualify for the program, the Good Landlord Tax Abatement Program, I think is how a lot.
But you said 415 rental units are already affordable, so we're looking at rental units that aren't yet affordable because they'll become affordable through this process, right?
And if this can apply to, you know, I mean, I think that this could apply to existing, obviously new development, but also existing, if any landlord wants to take advantage, I think they should be able to. I didn't see anything from just I didn't, I could have done, I should have done more research on it, but I didn't see anything in what I did see that says otherwise.
Yeah, that was a question that I had too. Going through, I started off thinking this was like somebody that lives in one side of a duplex and they're renting out the other or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then going through when it gets down to how the amounts could get calculated and it's talking about square footage of units and that sort of thing, it's like, well, heck, if this would apply right off the bat to existing developments, there's no benefit to us. We're not getting extra units from that. So it's like, is there a way that this could be structured so that it's only available to new units as an incentive?
Units that are not deed restricted as affordable.
Units that are not, yeah,
Has to be
already
structured to add unit.
affordable.
Right, because I mean, if it's an existing, market rate unit, like that's something
Yep,
be
that would be
interesting.
fair game. Yep.
But yeah, if they're already deed restricted, like that's, presumably they've gotten some kind of benefit in the
Right.
past from that.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially in some things like, when a lot of those larger developments come before the approval authority, they might be making a case using economics and like, this is the increase in the tax base that's going to come out of, this development. And it's like, well, now if we start giving discounts on their taxes for the affordable units, it's like, well, that needed a haircut,
Right.
way back when, but,
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the concerns I think that was initially raised by the assessor of like could see people having concerns about that. So yeah, I definitely need to study it more. I honestly think that yeah, that just connecting with somebody with MHP is probably my best bet at this point, just because they seem to be the most knowledgeable. And I think they're working directly with communities that are trying to do this.
Cool.
Dan, just before, in the packet, just before this item, there was a form for an annual report from the trust to CPC. I didn't know if that was part of the forum breakdown or if this was part of something else. Didn't want to skip over that and see if there was anything that needed to be discussed on that from the packet.
I just put it in the forum breakdown because I figured you guys would be talking about your financial reporting when you.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna offer if that's something that we need to get off to CPC that hasn't been done yet, I'd be happy to draft something for the next meeting for the prior fiscal year. But
I think
yeah,
The more information we send to CPC, the happier they are. Just send them as much and as often as you can.
have we typically done this sort of reporting, or have they generally just assumed for the reporting that they have to do that everything they give us is, for a qualified project and kind of move on from there?
That's a depend who you ask
Okay.
question. I know we're supposed to do it, and so I think let's just do
Let's
it.
do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that form. It crossed my path, and I was just thinking about the point that was brought up at the forum, and I said, "Oh, hey, this seems to be kind of a short and sweet form that kind of ticks all the boxes, and it's vetted by, an accredited institution that developed it." And I just thought it was like, hey, this might be a good idea for the trust to kind of consider using going forward. Yeah, it keeps it short and sweet.
Mhm.
Because I guess I was like trying to understand because I feel like that question in particular at the forum, it was a good one. But yeah, the level of reporting that people are asking for versus what's required is, I feel like sometimes that can get like kind of lost in translation. And I think that the form that's in the packet does a good job of kind of summarizing what the trust is doing in compliance with the laws and what we're actually supposed to be reporting on instead of having to like dish out pages and pages of like the town audit, for example. Like this is a better way to do it.
But to be fair, we're supposed to be doing our own individual audit, and it costs a lot of money, and that's hopefully the charter review can kind of tweak that a little bit for us, but
Mhm.
it's charter, not the bylaw, right?
I think it's in the bylaw.
Okay.
But when we're going through the bylaw update, we left it in because that's what's in
Charter.
the declaration of trust.
Okay.
So we left those two aligned. And I think if we wanted to change it in one place, we should probably change it in both. I don't know how burdensome a process it would be to get the declaration of trust updated.
It's a good question for.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a vote of, I mean, Kathleen would be the perfect person to kind of vet it, as well as, myself and the applicable staff. But I don't know if that's just uh, it's obviously going to be a vote of the trust, but if anyone else needs to take a vote on it.
I don't know what the exact wording is in the Declaration of Trust, but in the state law that sets up affordable housing trusts, which I just pulled up, It says the books and records of the trust shall be audited annually by an independent auditor or by an independent auditor in accordance with accepted accounting practices. So if having the town audit the trust is considered independent, then I think we're good.
Yeah, the town uses scan, right?
Okay, yeah, so that,
They're independent.
yeah,
It's
so if it's included in that,
that.
as far as I understand law, that it sounds like that would work.
Yeah, and the declaration of trust language is similar.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you read it,
cool.
I followed along.
So, yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like this is clear, and if anybody wants to, disagree with that, then at that point we could ask Kathleen for an opinion on it and get the official counsel.
Yeah, this isn't something done in-house.
Yeah. It's not Mary.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, like I said, outside of the GSX grant agreement, which we've got all that support out there, there isn't a ton of activity. So I think if we start getting in a cadence of doing more robust financial disclosure and just getting information out there, I think it just lend naturally to fewer questions or maybe more confidence.
One question that will continue to come up because we keep receiving money outside of CPA is accounting for the CPA dollars in any other funds separately, which historically was not done. So teasing it out is difficult. The way I decided to start looking at it, and it was like a me call. We paid out so much in the GSX grant that it covered the Pulte funds and some that we can confidently say what's remaining now is CPA dollars. But if we start researching other funding mechanisms and we really need to make sure we're tracking it separately somehow.
Yeah.
And it's been proving to be not as easy as it sounds saying, due to software issues and just general, we're not running the bank account. Somebody runs the bank account for us. So.
And the whole purpose of that separation is transparency.
It was 100% transparency,
Yeah.
but also there was a change in, I don't know if there was Governor Baker did something, and I can't remember if it's a law or not, but I can send the links out. It's all on the coalition website, and it's required to do that. And it was required, not even starting now, it's to go back and tease it all out, which I don't know.
Well, the CPA funds have, restrictions on them that the Pulte money, for example, doesn't have. So, I mean, it makes sense to.
But we have just a restriction on ourselves in general. You know what I mean? Like all of the things that we would spend money on are going towards advocacy of affordable housing.
Right, but CPA funds are, I think, a little bit more narrow.
100%. But I think we trump even CPA in the fact that like we wouldn't even do anything other than that. So we're completely in line with CPA. We wouldn't spend CPA money on anything that wouldn't. We wouldn't even spend Pulte money on anything that wouldn't be affordable because that's not our mission. What could we do?
But for one example, we could, if we wanted to, we could have housing that is restricted to people at or below 90% of area median income. And of course, people that would not necessarily count toward the SHI, but we could do that. But the CPA funds could not be used for that. CPA funds, I'm pretty sure, have to be, if you're going to do something like that, have to be for 80%.
I'd never considered doing it that way, but I guess if that's an example, I guess, yeah. Let's just never do that.
Well,
No, the point is though, you want to separate them out because if you've got two funding sources that have different restrictions,
Right.
Regardless of what you're intending on doing, you want to have those funds.
And at the
separated
end of the
that way.
year, CPC has to report back to the state how any CPA dollars went. So that's a big issue for them, is to make sure that we're
Makes sense.
right.
Yeah.
And there's been times where they give us our 10% and then we still request more money, the housing production plan. And so that is technically out of it's not out of our bucket, but that went towards affordable housing and that needs to get captured and reported somewhere too. I don't know. I'm not part of the CP3 reporting when our chair sends it in, so I'm not totally clear on how the level of detail, but I have been told a lot that it's necessary and important and tried really diligently. I know Brian's tried really diligently. I know Mary tried really diligently, and we try. Just doesn't seem to always satisfy everybody's. I don't know how to make it any more transparent. I really don't. So
Yeah, I think it might not be a discussion point for tonight, but I think we probably do want to get to clarity, maybe as an agenda item in a future meeting,
Mm.
on what the approach that I think the trust wants to take as that kind of backwards looking. Because I think I'm probably closer to alignment with Dan, in that for things like the GSX agreement, I would almost want to allocate all of the CPA funds to that first, because we know that's a qualified project. We know that checks all the boxes, yada, yada, yada. And I think that to Matt's point, even though, so anything that doesn't come from CPC, we're restricted to anything that a trust can do. Anything that does come from CPC, now we're going to play in their sandbox, in their set of rules, which there's going to be a whole lot of overlap between those two sets of rules. But I think the non-CPC funds has got to be at least a little bit more flexible, because if we can do it, there's got to be things that we're, possibly doing that. And I think back to the verbs that the presenters were talking about during the presentation in the forum. There could be things like, even just, if we had expenses for running that forum, that might not check perfectly one of those CPA verbs for the production, creation, yada, 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 of affordable housing. But it's obviously something that's worthwhile, that we're more than capable and, authorized to do. So something like that, just because there could be some gray, it's like, all right, well, let's take that out of the unrestricted, pocket. But yeah, I think to get to any sort of reporting on where our current buckets sit, I think we need a formal decision on how to view kind of how we got here. And then, yeah, just, move forward from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that that law, or that change from Baker was what, 2016, 2017. And so I had kind of that in the back of my mind as kind of the starting point. It's like, let's see, where our accounts were then, and see if we can bucket, things that are more obviously CPA eligible, expenses that we've had since then in that bucket, to the extent that those get exhausted. Because another piece, it's not that significant, but all of the staff payroll time that we get, CPA's got a cap on what, they can't be more than 10% of their funds. Well, if we cap the amount that we use to pay to cover salaries for staff, and we're getting, I forget what the number was, I think it was like 80 some odd thousand was the grant award for this past year. We'd say we wouldn't be able to spend more than $8,000 on staff that comes out of the CPA bucket. Well, through December, I think we're already at 7. So like that might be a number that we bump up against. So there could be.
I think in our grant agreement, we called that out specifically so that we would have some flexibility with that.
Right.
I can't remember if it was just 10%
Yeah.
or not, because we didn't want to have that ever, at least.
The
But again, the law, yeah. But yeah, no, I agree to your point, but I got so frustrated that I wanted to end my frustration. And that is how I ended my. But your points of views are the correct points of views, that we want to have the most flexibility. I guess to me, it just is like we're spending it all on affordable housing,
Yeah.
but
So I also just want to kind of say this. I feel like we got into this from the housing forum discussion, and how there were questions about finances, and I feel like we're maybe getting a little too deep into one topic that's not on the agenda. So maybe we should, if we want to go deeper into this, put it on our next agenda. Is that, do we want to do that? All right, let's do it. So, we'll dig deeper next time.
I'm
Cool.
sick that day.
All right, so all right, town planner report. Fiona, take it away.
Sure. So, I did check back in about the Hopple, which I like to say. So the folks at not MHP. Oh no, it is MHP. Sorry. They told me that they were, oh gosh, let me just pull up pull up the email. Well, while I'm finding that, the town was awarded a grant for feasibility study for Fisherville Mill. So I've been kind of working a lot with the owner of that property to try and get development moving there. A lot of different things going on. It's a very complicated site. It's obviously there's a lot of moving parts, the history of it, there's historic designations, there's wetland floodplain, there's dirty dirt there, there's the dam, there's a lot going on, and because of the complexity of the site, we thought it would be a good idea. Obviously, this has been a town goal for a while, to try and develop this property into multifamily and mixed use. The zoning does, I think with the original adoption, mixed use was definitely desired. But yeah, just because it's such a complicated site, it kind of took the same mindset that we had with the High Point lots, in terms of just let's study this. Let's get a qualified civil engineering group to come out here and do a detailed analysis, and then that can be used in an RFP, when it's being published for developers so that they're aware of all the complexities of the site and hopefully can just not have as many, finding things out after the fact. So we did get awarded a grant through Community One Stop for that. So I'm going to be working on an RFP for consultant services soon. So excited about that. And then the Hopple update was. Oh, jeez. Amber, oh no, I found it.
Is that one from Emma? It's from Tuesday morning.
Yes, thank you. I've sent like 600 emails since Tuesday morning. That's a personal problem, but um, okay.
9:21 a.m.
Thank you. Yeah, so they contracted with Bowler Engineering, who's a very good engineering firm. I was very happy to hear that, to start conducting the due diligence work and start developing some concepts for the lots. So that's exciting. They're meeting with them before the holidays, so hopefully in the next few weeks, and they're going to give us an update once they have that meeting. So this is kind of it's not a substantive update that I can give you tonight, but things are moving along. I know that we're going to have a site walk out there, and then I didn't hear back from them, but I think that they're just charging ahead with Bowler. They handled all the procurement and contracting. The town did not have to do any of that, which is very nice. So yeah, hopefully have something more concrete, hopefully for the January meeting, and then maybe we can set up a time to have either somebody from MHP or maybe somebody from Bowler come in and address the trust and kind of talk through what the trust would like to see on those lots and go from there. So MHP is very good. I know even when I'm not talking to them regularly, I know they're doing their thing in the background, so I'm definitely not worried about it. I'm happy to relay anything to them, but I think honestly, let's try and get them here for the January meeting, and if that's okay with the trust, I might propose that.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me write that down. Yeah, and then I did that technical assistance program. I think it's pretty competitive, but it was just if the trust wanted to take advantage of that, I would happy to submit an application to MHP for I think we have a lot of complicated things that we're trying to work through, especially the items that we discussed tonight, and it might just be a good program to take advantage of if we thought we were competitive and that was something the trust was interested in doing. So I think that that was in the newsletter that they sent out um, this month. So let me pull up the language. Yeah, so it's an intensive technical assistant program. The applications are due on the 22nd of December. Awards to be announced in early January. So, um, any of like, especially with like, I'm thinking like some of these more like complicated, like financial reporting, like maybe that's something that they can help us find like a specific auditor or a firm that does this type of work. Or if we wanted to update our, we were talking about our declaration of trust, I think that this could be this could be something that we could find a use for this program. We just have to narrow down, I guess, what we want to focus on if we were to apply. So, um, I just want to just whenever I see an opportunity, I always just want to make it the information available to the trust, and if we want to move on it or we want to wait,
Is there a deadline with that?
the 22nd of December.
Okay.
So, and Shelley, who was the speaker at the forum that we just had, is the main point of contact. So,
I mean, I think we should apply for everything always.
mhm.
So,
Would it be too early to ask them to start kicking the tires on that rental property tax exemption?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that could be. I'm just looking more into the. I'm just looking at trying to see what some of the examples were from some of the other communities. One community is working toward, okay, each community, 10 months of assistance. Okay, advisory, sorry. Okay, so some of it was like technical assistance regarding kind of outreach and prioritizing efforts, working with other um, town entities to help understand affordable housing finance and the trust future funding allocations. That was in Concord. There was the Hull Affordable Housing Trust used the program to develop a promotional campaign to educate voters about the Affordable Housing Trust bylaw and how they can help preserve affordable housing in the town. They're now shifting their assistance to new trust members. Okay, that wasn't really helpful. Yeah, it seems like it's a lot of like education and outreach based assistance.
and how much money are they getting for that?
In 2023, 100,000 was allocated toward a development. I think it varies depending on what you're asking for. Because I'm seeing a lot of different figures on the MHP website based on each project, so I don't yeah, I'll forward I'll follow up and instead of yeah, I'll follow up with the award amounts and maybe confirm with Shelley about how much we can ask for.
Do we ask for like a dollar amount? It sounds like it's more about they're providing the technical assistance directly. look at this application.
Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think, yeah, I think you're right, Dan, in that it was you apply, no cost to the town, they provide the assistance, and then maybe they'll help find funding for depending on the initiative or depending on what the trust wants to do. Because yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of different figures here, and it's not making a lot of sense to me from my skimming of this. Hmm. 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 So yeah, I mean, let me copy this link into the. Oh, I can't share the link, can I? Amber, there's no like chat.
Hmm.
I
So
could share.
with 11
No.
days to go,
Mhm,
and this not being an agenda item, I feel like maybe,
It's
mhm.
it's town planner report.
well, yeah, we can, you know, can't
Meet
really
again? Is
vote
that
on,
what you're saying?
can't vote on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't really, I feel like what would we ask for is kind of a big question.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of more of me, truthfully, I saw it and I was like, oh, could be a good idea.
I think it would be good to
Can't
keep this
say
in
that stuff
mind.
to me because I'll just
I know.
always say yes.
Well, I think that there's, this is a continuing, program, so it'll be available again in another. I think that it's 10 months, so I think every year can, provided that whatever's funding the program from MHP, that funding stream is still available in each fiscal year. I think, yeah, there's opportunities to take advantage in the future, if it's something that the trust wants to do. Yeah, that's a quick turnaround, so I apologize.
I think maybe, um, yeah, I think it'd be good to, have this in mind and think of a good project to use for next year. I mean,
Hmm.
it says 4 communities, which feels small, but also
Hmm.
it's probably a small number of communities applying.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem pretty competitive, but then again, it's like, you read through and like a lot of communities, Grafton was very ahead of the curve in adopting an affordable housing trust in like 2007, and some communities still are evaluating if they want to adopt a trust, which,
Right.
seems like a no-brainer. So, um, yeah, so I think, yeah, we can revisit this at a future date, but these types of things when they come up, I'll definitely make them more available sooner instead of 11 days before deadlines are due. But yeah, just wanted to pass it. There's always these types of programs around and available, so we'll just um, you know, I'll share them when I find them and try and get ahead of the curve next time.
Cool.
Yeah, it does seem like it definitely is tailored to communities that are a little bit newer to this, have recently adopted a trust or are thinking about doing so. So maybe not where Grafton is at.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of examples of projects that we could ask for, 10 months of technical assistance on. And
Mhm.
it feels like it
Yeah.
that sounds like creating a trust, right? Like it
Mhm.
sounds, or like creating your first, housing production plan or something.
Mhm.
And you've got to partner that grant resource with staff resource to work alongside them. You know, that's not the sort of thing we want to just say, yeah, let's go do that without, Fiona having a chance to think about how that's going to impact the planning department. It's a big,
Yeah, that's a good point
undertaking.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, other than the, I had, this was brought up, and then this comes up every now and then, but the, payment in lieu of affordable housing. I think this was mentioned at trust meetings in the past as well. I had, we had a intern from Worcester State, who was fantastic this fall. And I had her do kind of a preliminary research report to kind of just like start dipping our toes into kind of, what other communities are doing, kind of do a case study analysis. She did some interviews and, I just thought it was a cool work product that she made and wanted to share it, and definitely something for the trust to use as a resource if it is payment in lieu. With the key takeaway is like if done correctly, it can be effective. It's kind of like everything, but but it was definitely something that we wanted to get more information on, and I thought it was a great project for her. And yeah, if this is an initiative that the trust wants to pursue in the future, like at least we have that baseline, and then I can kind of, us take it, myself and the trust can take it from there. But I did want to kind of follow up on that and learn a little bit more because I do know about it, but hearing it from other communities, and she interviewed planners and people who are responsible for kind of managing those payment in lieu programs and the funding sources that come in. And I'm just kind of getting their experience with the program, if it's actually beneficial, if it's actually generating dollars and generating units, and if the dollars that it is generating are actually, that the town then uses to make units if it's done in a timely manner, because that's key too. So that was another just kind of deliverable that we had worked on, and a resource for the trust to use. And other than that, yeah, I haven't heard much about 25 Worcester Street. Their lawyer was going to contact me to start talking through permitting, but I haven't heard, and followed up a couple of times, but it's been a while, so I think that they're just kind of still doing their thing. There's a lot of coordination that needs to be done on the back end for these types of projects, so it does take some time, but I can circle back with Andy as well if you'd like, and see kind of where they're at. Maybe have him come in again in a 2026.
I mean, I'd love to see him come in definitely next year. And if we can turn the pressure up a little bit on
Mhm.
getting updates, we
Yeah.
that was a big land donation, and I understand that it's in particular this phase of the project is logistically complex, but
Mhm.
I want to make sure that we're on his radar and in his thoughts.
Wasn't it where he was going to be applying for something that he knew he wasn't going to get? Did that happen yet? Do we even like that? That's a good update. Like, did you apply? Did you get it? And are we going to be round two to get it, kind of thing? Or
Yeah, I do recall that, right?
yeah,
Yeah, we were off cycle for the funding that he was looking for, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But he was still going to apply anyway because you never know. But most likely we weren't going to get it the first application. It was going to be the
Mhm.
second round, kind of a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, some kind of update would be good.
Yeah. And that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions about anything specific that's going on that I didn't talk about, or
Do we feel like we want to put the payment in lieu on our next agenda for some more discussion, or?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Cool. Also, that's something I wanted to ask about the housing forum. Are there any and also like doesn't need to be answers in this moment. Could also like I guess email me directly to avoid a open meeting violation. But if there's things that you want to put on the agenda that were ideas that were raised that other towns are doing or something, we can get those on the agenda too. So cool. Anything else on town planner report before we move on?
I guess this is probably be the only opportunity to bring it up. Do we have any updates on anything from GSX or 1727?
Yes.
That can be
Was
shared.
it an executive
Yeah.
session? That's what he.
Well, I guess I'll say this, we're going into executive session to discuss, our negotiations with GSX. And I'm guessing to make a decision on Tuesday, so. That is moving along and, I obviously don't know how the vote's gonna go, but, it seems like the discussions have been moving and, productive, I guess, so I think.
Because their next extension's in April.
I am well aware of that.
Yes. Let's just keep saying it though.
No,
And-
absolutely. Yeah.
And the grant agreement, the initial term expires in June.
Mm. Mm.
Which can be extended, but
I'd like to see a shovel in the ground.
Yeah, groundbreaking would be great.
Mhm.
So that, yeah, I think that's the only update I have there.
All right. Minutes. Any corrections or concerns, etc., about the minutes as presented?
Oh, Brian's got something.
yeah, nothing on 10-9, but there are a few references to a Ms. Coughlin in 11.
Who's that?
Who's she?
Sorry.
When I got your first email with your new name, I'm like,
Sam.
is this? Oh, right.
Like, what is this another one of those phishing emails? What's going on
Then junk.
here?
Yeah.
I
What's
was
the
proud
stranger?
of myself because I remembered to do it in like the attendance
In the
section.
attendees, yeah.
And then when I was actually writing minutes, never thought about it.
I was in a meeting the other day and I was very tired and I like accidentally said my maiden name and I was like, wait, no, it's DiMartino. And it was with a bunch of developers and they were like, you don't know your name? I was like, sorry. Yeah, that was fun.
All right. Any Any other corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the Affordable Housing Trust minutes for October 9th and November 6th as amended during discussion.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. Further discussion. Hearing none. We'll do a roll call.
You don't have to.
I
Our
don't
Zoom
think we need
attendees
to.
dropped off.
Oh, okay. Well,
Do
in
we have
that
a
case-
quorum?
You do.
We did-
Okay.
yeah.
I was watching for that. I was like, nobody leave the room. We can't. We can't get below 4.
No more bathroom breaks.
Oh.
All right. So,
I
favor.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. The minutes are approved. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.